You can argue a whole case in front of a jury, manage a crazy caseload that would make most people cry, but somehow you've had start a skincare routine on your to-do list for the last 6 months. Make it make sense. And here's what nobody tells a lot of the high achieving women that I work with. The same thing that makes you so good at your job, so good in your career, might be exactly what's keeping you stuck in your personal life. And no, it's not a discipline problem. You don't need 75 hard. It's not a motivation problem. It's not that you need a better planner or a more aesthetic vision board. While those things can be great, and by all means, keep those. But the issue is your nervous system. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So if you've ever wondered why you can execute at the highest level professionally, but you can't seem to follow through on the things that matter the most to you in your personal life, then stay with me. You're going to want to watch this video to the end, because what I'm about to break down might finally help this make sense. And then hopefully you can have the clarity to take action on those things that really matter to you. Let me describe a pattern and just tell me in the comments if this sounds at all familiar. Okay. At work, you're locked in. You know exactly what's expected. There's clear deadlines. There's external accountability. There's real consequences if you don't deliver. So your nervous system knows the rules of the game, essentially. So it lets you perform, lets you play the game. But when it comes to your personal goals, whether that's starting that side project or side business, whether that's becoming more consistent in the gym, actually dating with intention instead of just swiping when you're bored, for example, it's like suddenly you're paralyzed. Suddenly that's the thing that's difficult. And so maybe you tell yourself that you just need to research more. Maybe you think you need the perfect system. Maybe you just need to find the right app and you're just looking for this most ideal starting point. Now, before you know it, you've spent 2 hours going down a rabbit hole of how to start a perfect morning routine. And then you end up even more stressed than when you started. Or maybe you do start. Maybe you do follow through on that perfect routine that you saw on TikTok and you have a great first week. But then something at work gets a little bit hectic. You miss a day. And then instead of picking back up where you left off, you just abandon the whole thing. And you tell yourself that you'll just restart when things start to calm down. But things never really calm down. If we're being honest, do they ever really calm down? Okay. And the worst part is you look around and it seems like people can just do things. Like everyone on the internet can just do the thing. They go to the gym without this whole mental gymnastics and negotiation and back and forth. They can go on dates with people without spiraling about it afterwards. They can just start those projects without needing the stars to align. But meanwhile, maybe you've been wondering if something is fundamentally wrong with you, and there's not. But there is something going on that maybe nobody's explaining to you, and I'm going to attempt to explain it. Here's what's actually happening. Your nervous system has learned that performance equals safety, and your nervous system only cares about safety. At work, when you deliver, you get validation. You get the promotion, you get respect. All of this is proof that you're worthy and that you're enough and that you're going to survive and be okay. And so your brain has mapped out high performance in this environment equals survival. Now, your personal life, different context, different story. There's no external validation loop. No one is grading or evaluating your self-care. No one's giving you a performance review on how well you're dating, even though those are out there too now. But there's no deadline for figuring out what it is that you actually want. And so for a nervous system that's been trained on external achievement, that lack of structure feels terrifying in the nervous system perspective, even if you don't consciously feel scared. So what does your body do? In this scenario, this is why you're stalling. It keeps you in preparation mode, researching, planning, optimizing, researching some more, going down rabbit holes, because preparing to do the thing feels productive without the vulnerability of doing it and potentially failing without having a rubric. This is why you can crush your presentations at work, but you can't make yourself prep a smoothie for breakfast Sunday night for Monday. The presentation has stakes that your nervous system understands and accepts, but you prepping that meal for yourself that you can have so you can have a better start to the week. That's just for you. And somewhere along the way, you learned, just for you was not a good enough, valid enough reason. And this is the part that might sting a little bit, but this pattern isn't really about personal goals versus work goals. It's about what happens when there's no external measure of success to prove that you're enough. And so at work, you can know you're killing it because there's evidence, there's proof, there's validation. But in your personal life, the only person who gets to decide if you're doing a good job is you. And if you've spent most of your life outsourcing your sense of worth to external achievement, then the internal approval feels unreliable and maybe even unsafe. And this is what most of us are conditioned into. Think about it. When's the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not worried about the outcome, not because you could just check it off a list, right? But when's the last time you did something just because it would feel good? And then you let that actually be enough. If you're drawing a blank, that's not a coincidence, but it is a symptom that you want to pay attention to. You've trained yourself to only trust forward motion, only trust things that have external proof attached to them. And when there's no proof available, your nervous system reads that as danger. So you avoid, you delay, you wait for the perfect moment that never comes. And again, this isn't because you're lazy, because look how far you've gotten. You're not a lazy person. This happens because your nervous system genuinely doesn't know how to move forward without the promise of external validation and proof and results on the other side. So, what do you do with this information? I've got a few moves for you. First, stop pathologizing yourself, okay? And what I mean by that is stop saying you're broken, stop calling yourself a procrastinator and giving yourself all of these different names and labels, okay? It's really that your nervous system has learned a specific way to feel safe in the world, and now you're asking it to do something different, to operate in a totally different environment. That just requires a recalibration. That's not a character flaw. Second, recognize that the perfect starting point that you're waiting for is a tactic that your system is using. It's a delay tactic that your nervous system uses to keep you safe from potential failure. Now, I know that there's no perfect time. There's only the moment that you decide that doing it imperfectly is better than protecting yourself from ever trying. Now, third, see if you can start noticing when you're in that preparation mode versus you being able to take action. Research is not action. Planning is not action. Planning to plan is not action. Buying the planner so that you can plan is not action. Okay. Those things support action, but they can also become the places where you hide. So get honest with yourself about which one you're in. Now, the last thing that I have for you, and this is the real work, you've got to start building a relationship with yourself where your own approval actually means something. It actually matters. This is where you can take action, not because someone's watching you, evaluating you, or grading you, but simply because you decided it mattered and you mattered enough more than anything. That's nervous system work too. That's learning to feel safe in your own validation. And it's probably the most important work that you can do now. Because here's the truth. You didn't come this far just to perform your way through life. You came this far to actually live it, and you deserve to live it. And that starts when you stop waiting for permission to begin or the perfect moment to happen or the stars to align. So if this hit for you, let me know in the comments. And if you would like to go deeper on your nervous system, understanding why you do what you do or why it does what it does, I've got some stuff in the link in the description that might help you. So, but if not, no worries, no stress. But hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.